Do you have a cupboard of things in your home that you keep for best? Today we're going to delve into why this isn't always such a great idea.
You're listening to the Declutter Hub podcast, bringing you tried and tested, no-nonsense tips and advice from the leading experts in decluttering and organising your home. Now here are your hosts, Ingrid Jansen and Leslie Spellman.
Hello and welcome listeners, I'm Ingrid.
And I'm Leslie.
If you're a brand new listener, thanks for being here and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our weekly podcast. And if you've been listening in for a while, we appreciate you. You are all ready for our next podcast. It is podcast 194, all about keeping things for best. Leslie, we find cupboards and cupboards full of stuff that have been kept for best.
No, well, before we get started, have you got anything in your house that you keep for best? Let's come clean. Ingrid's gone all quiet while she's thinking because this was not on the script. Just saying.
Actually, I don't think so, Leslie. Honestly. I
do. I have, do you know what I have that I keep for best? I have a cutlery set that I have in like a box that I only bring out on like Christmas or Easter or whatever, or when people come around for dinner, because I don't want it to get mixed up. It's quite a nice cutlery set, so I do keep that for best. But then having said that, I do use it whenever anybody comes round, and it's kind of completely containerized and I don't need it otherwise. So I do have that for best, but other than that, there's nothing.
I mean, there might be like some serving trays or something that I would only take out when when I'm hosting something, but I still use them. I don't keep them in my cupboards looking at them thinking, oh yeah, those are too nice to use. I'm like, I use everything.
You hit the nail on the head there, Ingrid, which is what people think, what a lot of people think, which is it's too nice to use. There's a fear, isn't there, that something is special because of the way that it's been given. So quite often these things will be things that were inherited. Quite often they will be things that were given as wedding gifts or special gifts on special occasions, for example. And so we just have this kind of barrier that sits there, and we feel that because they were given at a very special time, that we shouldn't run the risk of breaking them, which is ultimately what it's all about, isn't it? Mm. People are scared of losing things that they perceive to be special.
We're definitely going to talk more about that, Leslie, but I'm suddenly thinking, does everybody do this? I mean, I hear this a lot with older people when I'm decluttering with them that are of an older generation, maybe even, from the war. They were saving this. They had to be super careful with what they used and make do and mend. And you were very, very careful of the couple of nice things that you had. So I see that a lot, like when there's like, oh, there's a sideboard in your living room. What's in it? Oh, that's my nice stuff. That's my stuff that I keep for best. And do younger generations do that as well, or is it something that we really see in the older generations?
I mean, I can only speak about my own experiences, and I do have a couple of kids that have flown the nest. Well, one actually. I mean, Ellie's kind of there by default, I think, but so colour as she's not actually mine. She's just my son's girlfriend. But they've got their own. They've like she suddenly appears to be part of the family, and so I think it's kind of. I can't imagine that they would ever buy anything for best, but they've not got to a stage where they're given things for best because they've not got married. But even for wedding gifts, I can't imagine what we used to do, which is to be fair, I'm thinking about it now. This is almost like this is evolving as we're speaking, isn't it, Ingrid? Did I get things for my wedding that I've never used? No, I used everything. But then you are disappointed, to be fair. I am disappointed now that I've only got one of my original beautiful cut glass crystal wine glasses that I got for my wedding, but I got married 29 years ago. So, you know what I mean? So I think that's fine, isn't it? Because that's 29 years of use of something which I've enjoyed Yes, it would be nice to have them today. Of course, it wouldn't say, well, those are my wedding things. But what are the chances of crystal glasses in this house when there's copious amounts of wine being consumed on a weekly basis, that those glasses would still be there 29 years later? It's a bit of a long shot, isn't it?
I love your honesty, Leslie.
Yeah, exactly.
Weekly wine, no chance that glasses will survive. But I think I find it absolutely fascinating that people save stuff in their cupboards for best. Because it makes me think, but when is the best? I mean, in my head, if you're not living your life now, I mean, we could be run over by a bus tomorrow, you know what I mean? And then you've kept all this nice stuff for best. So what's the point of it all?
So let's delve a little bit deeper, Ingrid. Let's talk about some categories of things that we see that people typically keep for best. Yeah? Let's use that term, for best. Yeah? And so we've already started to talk about it, but really the big one that we see is things like dinner services, serving bowls, wine glasses, things that you've been given for your wedding or engagement or any other big event. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, I've seen it with my client. It was just several years ago. And I saw all these chipped glasses and chipped mugs in her kitchen cupboard. And then I opened another cupboard and there were like these gorgeous glasses, some of them still in the boxes and with the paper to protect them. And I'm like, what are those? Oh, those are my nice glasses. And I'm like, well, but the other ones are all chipped. Yeah, but I don't, but I'm like, why not? Don't you just deserve, if you have a glass of wine after a busy week, to drink it from a nice crystal glass? But those are for best. And I'm like, well, that's such a shame. And it really made her think.
I definitely think that you deserve to treat yourself and be the best person. You know what I mean? So I think that's part of it. I think we believe that other people are more worthy of something than we are. And so there's a bit of that. I absolutely do think it's a generational thing. I do. Do you know what I mean? And so I think that, I mean, I'm just thinking now, again, this is kind of, but I do have nice wine glasses that I kind of tell the kids when their friends come around that they can't really use. But just because I know that they're going to smash them. So that's not because I want to keep them for best, because I do use them myself. But I'm like, kids, don't use them wine glasses. Use the ones from IKEA for £2.50, please. Not the ones that I paid £10 for or whatever. So I'm not keeping them for best, but I am kind of saying they're off limits for you and your 30 mates coming round. You know what I mean? So maybe that is part of the same thing. But in general, I would absolutely consider myself to be worthy of one of the nicest wine glasses that I have in my house, because that's what life's all about, isn't it? You should treat yourself in the same way that you treat other people.
Well, and I think as well, if you have got nice things in your house, to enjoy them instead of kind of tucking them away in cupboards, never for them to see the light of day. I mean, the perfect example is also for my wedding. I asked for a dinner service and it was really nice. We chose it very carefully. We chose something that we thought we'd like for a long time. So we didn't go for a very distinctive pattern because we thought, that we might not like that anymore long term. And the first thing my mom said, oh, that's going to be really nice for Easter and Christmas. And I went, why would I do that? And she said, because it's really nice and it's, Wedgwood and it's very expensive and blah, blah, blah. And I went, but what would be the point? Then I never can use it. And then at Christmas, I'm at your house. So I'm still not going to I'm going to use it every day. So,
yeah, exactly.
So I've used it every day. And yes, now after about 17 years, I'm thinking, some of them are looking a bit like worse for wear. And I should probably see and I've replaced a couple through a website that I found. I was able to find a couple of replacements because I have broken a few. But it's like I'm enjoying eating from that dinner service with my nice cutlery set every day.
I feel like you've just aged me, Ingrid. Because I've just come clean and said that I've been married for 29 years and you've just come clean and said you've been married for 17 years. I just feel that makes me feel a lot older than I actually am.
No, I think I was much older when I got married, Leslie. You were much younger when you got married.
I know, but I'm like, really? How have I been married for 29 years? I mean, it's a big thing. I mean, I'm delighted to have been married for 29 years. It's a privilege, but it does age you, doesn't it? It does age you. But anyway, that is an aside. But yeah, I think one of the other really important things when you talk about dinner services is a lot of these things are inherited. So dinner services are a classic thing that get passed down through generations, because dinner services in general, particularly the ones from sort of years ago, are very special things, very expensive things. People paid a lot of money for them. There was 72 or 90 pieces. There was coffees and sugar and milk jugs and serving bowls and all these things. They're beautiful, beautiful things quite often.
Mm-hmm.
And so we do think, oh, they're old. And so we really need to preserve them and keep them in their original state so we couldn't use them. One of the big things that we teach in our membership is use these things, bring them into everyday use so that you can enjoy them. These things are sentimental. And how can you get that warm, fuzzy feeling inside if you're not seeing them? If they're locked away in a cupboard behind closed doors, you're never going to get that sentimental feeling that was intended when it was passed down. And so it's really, really important to bring these into general use. Ditch the detritus, as they say, and start to bring the nice things into general use. And if the fallout from that is that you lose the odd one along the way, then so be it. You have spent the time and enjoyed them for the bulk of the time. And yes, one might go. Bottom line is, things are much more simple these days. We can replace them. There are places that will allow us to replace the odd broken thing. And that's quite easy to do these days because of the rise of the internet. It's not really the rise, it's kind of risen already. But you know what I mean? It's easier to do than it was 30 or 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And so bring that stuff out into general use. It's so, so important, isn't it, Ingrid?
Yeah, definitely. Use what you have, love it, enjoy it, get that wonderful feeling of using something. Now, Leslie, besides dinner services and things like that, let's talk a little bit about, well, your favorite topic, apparently, because you drink wine every week, but let's talk about bottles of wine and champagne and things like that.
Yes, because wine and champagne, of course, as soon as you see that Moet, that Bollinger, it's expensive, it's cost a lot of money, it's been given at a very special time, and you feel that you should drink that. You can't just put it in with the normal bottles of Prosecco for £3, can you? You've got to keep it for a special occasion. And when does that special occasion ever come? And so the amount of champagne that's cost copious amounts of money over the years that we've had to pour down the sink with clients is heartbreaking, isn't it, Ingrid?
I'm going to come clean, Leslie. It happened to me 2 weeks ago. A lovely bottle of wine that I'd been saving because a very special person gave it to me and she's no longer with us. And I'd been keeping it. And recently I thought, I'm going to put that in the fridge, and I chilled it and I opened it and it was vinegar. And I was distraught because I had kept it too long. And I think because my husband drinks red wine, which you can keep for much, much longer than a white wine, it kind of got off my radar. And we when I drink a bottle of wine, it's like, oh, just take, a cheaper bottle. And I thought, oh, let me really treat myself. And I had left it. And now I wasted it. I was like really cross with myself. Not because, but because it was a special gift from a very special person. So I wanted to do the right thing by not just kind of thinking, oh yeah, I'll just randomly open it. But now I lost it. And it's like, well, what's the point of that then? So I was really upset with myself, actually.
I know. But it happens all too often. Now, there's a lot of alcohol that we'll keep, of course, red wine, keep a little bit longer. But a lot of these wines now that are bottled, they're not bottled to last, are they? There are some that are, but you're talking a lot of money. And typically, if somebody does give you or you acquire a bottle of wine that is designed to be opened in 10 years, then you'll know about that at the time that you acquire it. But champagne, even though it might cost 30, 40, 50, even £100, that's not designed to last 10 years until you get around to opening it. You need to drink it. And so please look at the champagne, find a special occasion. That special occasion might be just, you know what? I need to treat myself tonight. Let me open that bottle of champagne that's been sitting there for a while. I know it seems quite decadent, but it's better to do that than to pour it down the sink like Ingrid did last week and then feel disappointed with yourself.
Yeah. But Leslie, what's done is done. No point in dwelling about it. So let's take a break so we can all calm down a bit again. And then after the break, we'll come back and we've got some other lovely suggestions. So see you after the break.
Hi. Just a little break from this podcast episode to ask you a question. Are you a sentimental soul who just can't bear to part with things in your home with memories attached? Then we have just what you need. Our Sorting Out Sentimental course is a real SOS. Tackling over 16 categories of sentimental items, you will learn how to declutter the quantity and keep the quality. Go to declutterhub.com/SOS to find out all the details.
Hi everyone, welcome back to our Keeping Things for Best podcast. And we talked about some very interesting objects and things already before the break, but we've got some other suggestions as well, don't we, Leslie?
Yeah, we've got to move away from the wine.
Yes.
To move away from the wine.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're going to move away from the wine and we're going to talk about things that you find upstairs in your home. I mean, you can put wine upstairs in your home as well, but typically not. So towels and bedding, we want to talk about something else that people keep for best.
Yes, all the time. That is for my visitors. I open a linen cupboard. It is absolutely full to the brim. And then you start to kind of categorize it and organizing a little bit. And then you find these beautiful packages still in the plastic, still even something with the tags on. You kind of think the plastic even has gotten a bit brown. You think, how long has this been here in this cupboard? How long has this been here in this cupboard? Oh, well, that's my bedding for best. That is for when I've got visitors come. And I'm like, can your visitors not use a nice set that is clean in your cupboard? What is this? Oh no, that's my bedding. It's like nearly threadbare, falling apart. But there's a beautiful set of towels with like one of those how do you call, like a piece of rope still around them with the tags on, with a nice fluffy thing. And it's like, wow, maybe you need an upgrade of your own stuff. And not keep stuff for best. I mean, what has the last couple of years taught us, Leslie? We didn't have any visitors, so all this stuff kept for best.
I think it's really important to think about the principle, and we do this quite a lot with clients. You know, there's a lot of people who keep rooms, keep stuff for visitors, and what they do is they create a home for the 2 days a year that you might have a visitor and ignore the other 363 days a year that's all about you. So if you know, there are people, of course, who, I mean, Ingrid, the last couple of years changed, but ordinarily Ingrid would have many more visitors in her home than she has the last couple of years. And so Ingrid's still got a spare bedroom and all that kind of stuff, although she's firmly camped in it at the moment, working. So I don't quite know what she's going to do when the visitors come back, because they're not going to be able to have any lie-in. Why? Because you're going to be there podcasting at 9 o'clock in the morning. But anyway, but you know, quite often people who say, I really need a spare bedroom, really think about whether or not, how often is that happening, or should you be utilizing that space, that cupboard, that bedding, whatever that is, for yourself and not for the occasional guest. Really, really important to think about that. So, but yeah, towels and bedding definitely fall into that camp. You know, do yourself a favor with this stuff that's been hanging around in your cupboards for years. Open it up, put it in the wash, put it on the bed and get rid of the threadbare stuff. Treat yourself. That's what this is all about. It's about putting yourself first and not other people. That's why we keep things for best. We're always putting other people first, or occasions first, before everyday life. And it's so important to do that, isn't it, Ingrid?
Yeah, we need to grab our moments, Leslie, to enjoy, you know, those nice new fluffy pillows, that lovely new duvet set, and get that feeling of, you know, life is hard enough. You know, we need to be kind to ourselves and all the stuff that we have been either given or that we've worked so hard for, to use it up. I really firmly believe in that, and it creates for interesting conversations. That's for sure.
It definitely does. So I think we also wanted to talk about something else that people typically keep for best, which then becomes detrimental because it doesn't get used, because it doesn't get seen, which is jewelry. Okay, so there's jewelry and jewelry, yeah? So there's costume jewelry, stuff that you just grab from wherever that you buy. It might be just a special, you might love it just the same, but then there will be jewelry that you have inherited, that you have bought at a special time in your life that's more expensive. And typically what people do is they kind of separate out the expensive stuff from the cheap stuff, let's call it, for argument's sake. And so we are firm believers, apart from if it's worth like, £1 million or something, perhaps it needs to be somewhere different and you're going to just chuck it in with your $2.99 bracelet from Next. But, so you've got to be sensible with this. But in general, if you've got something that's a little bit more expensive or a little bit more special, put it in with the other stuff so you see it and you start using it. Really, really important. Why are you laughing?
I'm laughing so hard. I can see you kind of going with your Tiffany necklace that's like worth 10 grand to your local Tesco's on a Tuesday morning. I'm like, but I mean, I understand what your point is.
I haven't got a Tiffany necklace with
me neither.
But if you want to buy me one, honestly, I'd love to go to Tesco's on a Tuesday morning in my Tiffany 10 grand necklace. I think that would be amazing.
Well, but I mean, I completely agree with your point. I think we sometimes think, oh, it's gold or it's silver or it's got, something, and we can't wear it. But then again, the last couple of years, we haven't been anywhere. We haven't gone anywhere. We had nothing special going on and all this stuff. It's like, you just don't want to hang around in your lounge wear sitting on the sofa. You can still dress up nicely and wear something nicely, as earrings or a bracelet or a necklace, even though you might just be pottering around your house. It doesn't always have to be kept for when you go out.
So pajamas on, Tiffany necklace on. Netflix. That's what we need to do. Right, okay. Now, we're going to get on to something that's a real bugbear of mine. It's not necessarily keeping it for best, but it's keeping it for a special occasion, which is typically breaks and holidays. What am I talking about, Ingrid?
You are talking about toiletries, and I think specifically about hotel toiletries.
Yes. Number one, please try not to take the toiletries from hotels unless you absolutely need to, unless it's really, really good stuff. If you're going to 5-star hotels and it's the good stuff, then it's allowed. But if it's just something that's kind of not as good as what you've got at home, even in 5-star hotels, sometimes what you've got at home is better than what you get in a hotel. So really be honest with yourself about whether you're just kind of taking things just because you perceive it to be free. So that's a whole aside. So don't take the hotel toiletries unless you really, really need to, or it's a really good make. But if you do take those hotel toiletries, you need to have a plan for those. And the plan is not, if you've got them from a 5-star hotel or a 4-star or a 3-star hotel, chances are the next time you go away, you're going to go to another one of those things. Yeah. So you might go camping or whatever, and you might be able to take them, but you don't need to, you're not going to take them because you're going to get them again. And so what people typically do is they take the toiletries and think, oh, they'll be fantastic. They're little kind of sample sizes for when I go away, but then they go away to somewhere that's the same as where they got the toiletries from. Does that make sense, Ingrid? And so we never use them.
Yeah, no, I've fallen foul to this. I'm going to hold my hand up because I went somewhere really, really nice long time ago.
Wow, just once.
Did bring the nice toiletries home because they were a beautiful brand. So I'm following your pattern exactly, Leslie. And then I thought, oh, they're so nice, I can't use them. So then they were in my, this is where I keep my travel sizes toiletries box, which I have in my bathroom. I've got a nice little plastic box, which says travel. And then they lived in there until at one point I went, how long ago was this nice trip? Wow, that's like 8 years ago. I wonder if that body lotion is still something I want to put on my body. And then, of course, apart from the soap that lasts like forever, like a bar of soap, everything else got thrown away because I didn't use it. What a waste.
I know.
Done it. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt, Leslie.
You've done everything. I mean, you're going to get sacked from this podcast. You've done the wine, you've done the champagne, now you've done the toiletries. The only thing you don't do is the towels and the bedding. So we'll let you off on that one. But you have got a £10,000 Tiffany necklace, to be fair.
Don't be ridiculous.
No. So what we're going to advise here is if you do take hotel toiletries, and that's perfectly fine and acceptable, you need to have a plan with those. Have a little place and start to use them as soon as you get home. So the whole idea of you taking that away is to save you money, actually, long term, isn't it? And buying them. So use them at home, use them up, start to go through those. Get the value out of the things that you've taken. Ultimately, you paid for those because that hotel room was yours that you paid for. So get the value out of those at home. Don't keep them for the next trip, because all that means is that they sit there and then you never take them on the next trip because you've forgotten all about them.
Yeah. Yeah, and it clutters up cupboards, that's for sure. And I think one last thing, Leslie, then connected to these toiletries is also gift sets. So we get nice little gift sets on birthdays, with a body lotion and a body wash and one of those puffy sponges and bath salts and all that. And we get a nice little package and we think, oh, I'm going to keep that for a special occasion. Then it sits there on the side of the bath, gathering dust forever and ever. And then it's lots of products that we don't use. So either donate the gift set if it has lots of stuff that you don't like, or open the gift set, take out what you're going to use and donate the rest to a charity shop, a food bank, put it on Olio, free cycle, because somebody else can really enjoy it. Don't let it all go to waste. I think that's what we're all about, isn't it, Leslie?
Yeah, use things up, utilize these things that you've got and get the sentimental value out of the things that you've been given. Don't keep things for best, because best might never come. That sounds a bit depressing, doesn't it? Is that a bit depressing?
But I think maybe more my thing is, when is the best time then? What are you waiting for? I mean, so many people wait for when I'm retired, for when I got more time, for when I've got, but if wish, it's not going to get you anywhere. And that's just a shame.
The moment is now. Let us
Yes.
embrace it, Ingrid.
I think so. I really, you've got your chance now. You live to your fullest. As far as we know, we've only got one life, Leslie. As far as I at the moment know, I've only got one life. You need to make the most of it. And that, if that means that you've got something to celebrate on a Tuesday, put that bottle of champagne in the fridge and drink it. You know what I mean? It's like, when otherwise are you going to do it?
Completely agree. Could not agree more.
Well, got that out of the way. We got that off. I really wanted to talk to people about this because it really is like, I think it's really important, and I think it will help people a lot with their clutter. So I think that's why it's an important topic to talk about as well. Next week, we are going to talk about the 10-minute task to get things done. I like it. So thanks for being here, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks so much for listening to the Declutter Hub podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to us in your podcast player so you don't miss an episode, and we'll see you next week.